The intent of this video is to listen to depth charge explosions as heard from an underwater sonobuoy, from a microphone placed inside a submarine, and from the submarine sonar hydrophones. This is a Part 17 video from the channel's Bombers vs. Submarines Battle of the Atlantic series. This is a re-release of the original video as it needed to be modified and reloaded due to a Universal Pictures copyright claim. I needed to strip out U-571 movie depth charge clips and commentary. U.S. ships and aircraft hunted German U-boats with various kill stores in World War II. This included ship-deployed depth charges, hedgehogs and mousetraps, and aircraft-deployed depth bombs, air-to-sea rockets, retro rockets, and the acoustic homing torpedo. Although not a kill store, surface U-boats were strafed by machine guns with the intent of killing crew members and/or suppressing their return fire. The actual depth bomb explosion sounds were recorded using a Sonobuoy omnidirectional hydrophone. This chart outlines the basic workings of sonobuoys from a declassified World War II, January 1943 Anti-Submarine Command Monthly Intelligence Report. All of the images shown in this video are declassified. A U-boat will emit sounds. Sonobuoy's omnidirectional hydrophone will pick up the sound. The sonobuoy transmits the sound signal to the orbiting aircraft. The sounds are evaluated by the aircraft sonobuoy operator. The sonobuoy the explosions recorded are from the Mark 47 depth bombs, as shown in this image from a September 1945 U.S. Navy Bomb Disposal School document titled Bombs and Fuses Pyrotechnics. The bomb is detonated by the Mark 234 hydrostatic fuse located in this shaded zone. A cross-section of the depth bomb's fuse is shown in this image from a 1947 Explosives Ordnance document. The bomb will be armed at a water depth of 12 to 15 feet. Standard World War II anti-submarine command policy is to set the aircraft-deployed hydrostatic fuses to detonate the depth bomb's explosive fill at a depth of 25 feet. The Mark 47 weighs 355 pounds. Its explosive fill consists of 252 pounds of Torpex. Torpex is considered 50% more powerful than TNT, as discussed on this page from a December 1942 Anti-Submarine Command Monthly Intelligence Report. The lethal range of a depth bomb or depth charge to a submarine's pressure hull is based on the weight and type of explosive fill, as shown in this chart from a 1945 United States Fleet Anti-Submarine and Escort of Convoy Instructions document. To be lethal, the Mark 47 will need to detonate within 24 feet of the U-boat's pressure hull. Anti-Submarine Command adopted tools to assist in training aircraft crew members in sonobuoy usage. This image from a January 1945 Chief of Naval Operations and Bureau of Aeronautics Naval Aviation Bulletin describes the sonobuoy training aid. This aid includes records of sonobuoy operators would likely experience during combat operations. Let's listen to the sounds of the depth bomb training module.
Underwater explosions heard over an expendable buoy may not sound quite as you would expect. There is no sharp report as heard in the air, but a noise which can be described as a roaring sound of great intensity that lasts for many seconds. The explosions you will hear in the following examples were made with Mark 47 depth charges set to explode at a depth of 25 feet. In the first example, the depth charge is dropped 2 miles from the buoy. Next, the depth charge is dropped 1 mile from the buoy. charge dropped 1,000 yards from the buoy. And now a depth charge dropped only 100 yards from the buoy. You perhaps noticed that the intensity or loudness of the depth charge examples was about the same regardless of the range. This effect was caused by overloading. The explosions were all so extremely loud that the buoy receiver was overloaded and produced only its maximum signal. The final example will give you an idea how your depth charges sound to the enemy. The sounds were recorded inside a submarine as depth charges were dropped 300 yards away.
Couple observations. The duration of explosions as recorded by the underwater hydrophone was around 25 seconds each, regardless of the distance of the bomb's detonation. The microphone's overload makes it difficult to estimate the depth charge's range. The sounds recorded within the submarine by an air microphone was likely caused by the elastic deformation oil canning of the submarine's outer hull from the explosion's pressure shock waves. The long-duration explosion noise is not heard within the submarine. The interior sound produced by a depth bomb also sounds similar to pounding on the submarine's metal framing or a closing of the bulkhead doors, as in the Sonobuoy training clip.
The most important sounds made by a submarine are produced by its propellers and machinery. However, you can sometimes hear other, weaker sounds, such as the whine of motor generators, the slamming of hatches, and so on. Usually, the submarine must be within 100 yards of the expendable buoy before these secondary sounds can be picked up. Members of the crew pounding on pipes and on bulkheads. Members of the crew slamming bulkhead doors.
Depth bomb explosions, as heard from the more sophisticated submarine sonar gear, is likely more accurate representation of the explosion's underwater sounds. This clip from a World War II training module provides a brief description of the submarine's JP-1 sonar system.
Once under the surface and below periscope depth, your only contact with friendly or enemy ships is by means of sound. The propeller beats you have just heard are typical of surface ship sounds you will hear when your own ship is underway submerged. You want to know her bearing. Sweeping the target with your sound gear will help you there. Sound detecting devices have been used by the Navy for a long time, but now a new piece of listening equipment mounted topside is being put aboard your boats, because this sound receiving equipment operates in the sonic frequency range. By sonic, we mean the frequency range that can be heard normally by the human ear. But your topside listening gear was designed and built for submarines to operate in the sonic range so that it would pick up the natural sounds from other ships. It is practically the same as putting your head out into the water to listen. These sounds pass through the water and are picked up by the topside hydrophone and merely amplified so you can hear them. You must learn to recognize underwater sounds. With this new JP-1 sonic listening gear, the sounds you hear are natural. War Patrol reports from the Pacific tell us that you can usually recognize targets more easily, and that the range at which you can detect them is usually greater with JP-1 than with any other listening gear. Enemy ships will be music to your ears and sound just as natural when you hear them on your topside sonic listening gear.
Let's now listen to depth charges recorded from the submarine's JP-1 sonar system.
You should be familiar with the sounds that can be produced by your own ship. Then you can spot any telltale sounds which might give your boat away to the enemy. Depth charges exploding underwater sound different over JP-1 gear from what you might expect. Here are two charges at a range of 300 yards from the sub. And here are three depth charges, this time at a range of 4,000 yards. Machine gun bullets from an airplane produce a sound like this when they hit the water.
Some observations of the explosions recorded from the submarine's JP-1 sonar system. The explosion sounds were not continuous 25-second roar like the Sonobuoy's recorded sounds. The explosion sound duration was around 6 seconds for the detonations that were 300 yards from the submarines and 3 seconds at 400 yards. If you found this video interesting, please consider liking, commenting, and/or subscribing to the channel World War II U.S. Bombers.